Okay, we are back here live with the Kid on Ageplay podcast. So I'm gonna pause for a quick second because I made a promise and I keep good on my promises. So we have Plant Panda Studios. Plant Panda Studios is a vendor that I happen to have met at Anthrocon. As you guys know, I went to Anthrocon at the end of June, which was a freaking amazing con. I ended up finding a table and a vendor who ended up selling me some really cool stuff, from baby fur keychains to a pacifier clip. They do all types of really cute art, like furry art. If you guys are into furry art or are wanting to get yourself some baby fur art or trinkets and stuff, the best person to go to is Plant Panda Studios. You can find they have an Etsy store called Plant Panda Studios. On there, they have a whole bunch of baby fur keychains that are just absolutely adorable. If I have my Spider-Man bag with me, which is somewhere around. Oh, wait, it's right behind me. Give me a sec. As you guys can see on my Spider-Man book bag, I got a whole bunch of these. Like, I am baby keychain to the baby dinosaur keychain, which are freaking amazing. Like, they did an excellent job. I also show these off on, I also have like a baby kangaroo. But yeah, no, like, definitely go and check them out. They have some wonderful stuff at their shop. They also take commissions from what I was able to find. They have their own webpage where they take commissions and do different type of art. So if you want your persona or a character that you like like done in ABDL form or AB form, please go to Plant Panda Studios. Again, that is Plant Panda Studios, and they have some amazing stuff there. Pretty soon I'm gonna be making these a little bit better, like doing these commercials for different people a little bit better, because the way that I do it now is very low budget and low key, but I want to do it where I actually make like segments that I can just do stuff to advertise. So if you guys are a small business that wants your business advertised on the podcast, it's free of charge. We just shoot me a message on Twitter or message me or put a comment in the comments below, and I will get back to you. I usually I try my best to try to advertise a lot of the businesses. Like you guys also know, look into the description. You will also find other stores that are in the description that are really good with different apparel and stuff, such as Little Kink Boutique. I have a link directly to them in my description. Okay, so back to you, Dr. Rhoda. I have a question. I have a question. So, with what you see out of ABDLs today, right? How do you what do you see that's different between the community now versus how it was 10 years ago? Like how do you feel that it has evolved or changed in your opinion?
I think there are a lot more, not only in-person events, but more places online for people to go that are not just a bunch of like message boards or chat rooms, but really some good places for people to get information, to kind of try to understand themselves better, talk to like-minded people. So I think that has helped a lot. But even with all that, I think the people who are very in touch with the community sometimes forget that there are still a lot of very isolated people who don't even know that there is such a thing as an ABDL community.
Which is true. I've run into that myself.
Yeah, I mean, I've run into people, like even within the last couple of years, who are just appalled that they're not the only one.
It's the ABDL community and the Ageplay community and in general are always looking for acceptance and welcoming and understanding, because a lot of times these misconceptions that people push onto them is not right, but that's due to the fact that people are ignorant and they don't necessarily like actually understand what they are saying. It's like for years people never knew that like using slurs against gays was pushing more people to stay in the closet versus coming out and being able to accept themselves.
Mhm.
They weren't able to do that. I know this about myself. As a pansexual male, I I was always afraid of the fact that like I knew that there were guys that I was attracted to, but like I was always afraid to really say anything about it. Like even now, I think that I'm being way more open about it now, but in a lot of cases, I was floored when a lot of my friends did not even realize that I was pansexual. And then I one day asked my roommate, I was just going, "Hey, why does everybody think I'm straight?" And he says, "Because you go after more women than you go after men." And I was like, "But I have a boyfriend though. I don't understand." So yeah, um, it's one of those things that they don't realize that like as the more accepting and understanding that people have become, there's also still a contingent who want to keep them down because they feel that that somehow keeps them on top. If that, I mean, that's just the political discourse of today, is it not?
Well, yeah, it very much is.
uh,
Yeah, that
so actually, that actually made me want to ask you a question on that. Do you feel that the political discourse has anything to do with like do you think that it affects the community in a way? Like
I, I don't think it has yet, but I think it could turn very quickly, is the problem. Because, I mean, if you look at, I mean, not that this rumbling under the surface hasn't been going on for years, it has. But just in the last couple of years, the number of states that have very quickly started passing laws against trans kids and gender affirming care and LG, they're even starting. Some of them are trying to pass laws against same-sex marriage so that then they can take it back to the Supreme Court again. And they're not even being subtle about it. I mean, they're not just even saying same-sex marriage; they're saying interracial marriage, um, marriages of people of different faiths. They want to outlaw. I mean, they're not even being quiet about it anymore.
mm-hmm.
And you're starting to hear them mention furries and stuff like that. And so I can see that it could very easily turn to where enough of those people hear about ABDL and that will be added to the list, because it's the fascists and the authoritarians who want to scare the general population. And what better way to scare them than to bring up marginalized groups that most people know very little about, if they know about them at all, and then convince the general public that these are the scary people. These are the ones who are out for your children. I can protect you from them.
Yeah, that's something that I wasn't actually like. That is surprising that you brought that up because I remember there was a politician who tried to throw ABDL out there in his political speech. He didn't make it that far. And he was screaming about what did he say? The left allows them to choose that they could be children if they want to be, and this is not right. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, I don't think you quite understand what you're yelling about, because he was talking about, like, he lightly mentioned ABs, but then he also went into furries and claiming that they're teaching school children into using litter boxes, and being a cat. And I was like, none of this is happening.
Right, none of it's happening, but and unfortunately that doesn't matter, that none of it's happening. It's like the trans kids, and they're going on about, they're mutilating their genitals, they're giving them surgery. Trans kids are not having genital surgeries.
No.
No, that's not what's happening. Or they're trying to say, these hormones are so dangerous for them. No, if you're giving them puberty blockers can be reversed. Mm-hmm. And even before they would ever give them the hormones that they want, they've got to go through a lot of hoops and processes before they ever get to that point of being given the other set of hormones.
Yeah.
And again, it's the hype, it's the hysteria. And I know it really hasn't quite started yet with ABDL, but I can see it happening very quickly. Like, it wouldn't take much.
The problem is that ABDLs are not in the forefront. They're like furries are. Furries you see every year because they make cities money. Like, that's the thing. They can go on television and start yelling about furries and using litter boxes and whatnot. But the truth is that, for instance, let me give you an example. I just went to Anthrocon, right? I went to Anthrocon, stayed in one of the 10 hotels in the city that literally had, like, packed to the gills with people in fursuits. And you mean to tell me that I didn't see a single litter box being used? So I don't know where the fuck they're getting that shit from. You'll get a couple of people howling at the moon, which I had to ask someone to decipher that, because there's a bar called Howl at the Moon, and I was like, oh, wait, so were the furries going to howl at the moon, or were they howling at the moon? They were howling at the moon. Oh, okay. Who cares? I was like, seriously. Like, half of the people that sit there and watch Twilight would probably do the exact same goddamn thing because they're on Team Jacob. Like, come on. Like,
right. And it isn't about being rational.
No.
It's about an agenda and amassing power and confusing people with misinformation.
I would actually say that I don't disagree with that. I would actually say that it's more of the discourse of, in the place where a bunch of people are yelling about, I want my freedom, they immediately start yelling about, like, how they want to be able to ridicule and yell at somebody for doing something that they themselves feel is weird. But then you don't really believe in freedom and equality. You just feel that you should be ridiculing and just and
you should be an a-hole, but that's your idea of freedom.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, I can't talk. I come from the cosplay community. If there is anybody on the face of the planet that is as judgmental as those assholes, man, the next step level. Because let me tell you something. ABDL and cosplay have something in common, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys know this, but at one point in time, you couldn't cosplay a character without the cosplay police coming at you, yelling about how you may be the wrong color for a character or whatnot. Oh no, that doesn't happen to me. That didn't happen to me at any point in time. I might flash a picture of a cosplay that I did at one point in there. If you see it, yeah, that's
You
me.
froze.
Huh?
You froze for a minute.
Oh, am I still frozen?
Nope, now you're not,
Uh,
but
okay. Oh God. I'm guessing. Yeah. Okay. So I have to. This is what happens if I don't use my VPN. I guess. Like it just starts going crazy. Like the internet is just not accepting it today. But no, what happens is that and no, that was not a plug for a VPN, ladies and gentlemen. Like I swear to God, I'm not gonna go into a NordVPN moment here. Oh, because if I was going to do that, they're gonna have to pay me. They would have to pay me. They are not a small company. Um, yeah, no, I was just about to say that one of the things that like a lot of the like I said about the whole howling at the moon and stuff, like people are like they believe in freedom, but they want to be a jerk to everybody, and it's so unfair. And yeah, it's like I said, guys, I came from the cosplay community. Cosplay community is one of those situations where everyone was judging you no matter what, and they would usually say something along the lines of, "Oh, you're not the right color to cosplay that character. You should cosplay Barrett because you're black." I'm not joking. This is real stuff that used to come up.
oh, geez.
Yeah, but now the cosplay community has become very hyper progressive, and I actually appreciate that because now I can do cooler cosplays. And then I fell down the rabbit hole of doing a character that's become really popular. So you guys look out for Doomfist of the North Star at some point. I'm not joking. I really did do that cosplay. No, I am not posting pictures of that. But like I said, you guys can see that first cosplay that I did when I cosplayed L. It'll pop up somewhere here, or back then, or whatever. I'll figure out where to put it. But my point is that the community itself had like the ABDL community has changed over time because like it also became extremely progressive and extremely supportive. And it took a long time to weed out all the bad actors, but it worked, and there are a lot like the community is a lot better now.
Well,
So
that's
yeah. So my next question to you is so one of the conversations that we did have we had in the interview that is long gone. I wanted to talk to you on because we had a discussion about something interesting. And you were saying that age regression was something that needed to be re-examined because I was explaining about how the word age regressor had been hijacked. Like before, back in the day, back in the early days of the community, age regressor referred to non-sexual age player. But
right.
now it's more so being used by minors in who are trying them to put themselves out there on the internet, and it's become a huge problem, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's become more of a whole thing online. And I wanted to ask you, like, due to the do you think that, like, because one of my explanations for it is, oh well, a lot of these minors want to use the term age regressor because they think that it sounds more scientific, and because it sounds more scientific, they're like, yeah, uh, people won't judge me because it sounds more science based, and that's not really the case. As it is them
Right.
trying to get out there and let themselves be known so that they can find more of like themselves in their space, such as like of being another high schooler or something like that. But they don't realize the danger of it. They don't realize that like
Yeah.
the kink community is a dangerous place. earlier on in the podcast, like in the first 10 episodes, I did an interview with a woman who was groomed by a guy when she was 16. So, like, this is why I wanted to bring this up and to ask, like, why do you think that, because I explained that it is due to the culture of when you're in high school that you are more believing that the stature of society, that the statutes of society are built in high school. Like, people believe for some reason that, like, who's popular in high school is going to matter 10 years down the line, or it's going to matter like 5 years or 3 years. It really doesn't, but they don't understand that. They don't get that. So, like, that, how do you feel, like, the best way to ask the question is, how do you feel that the mindset of a teenager affects how they perceive what age regression is?
Oh, I don't know if I can really answer that question. Because I have not, I've been hearing more and more about the age regressors, and, they're in the forums, and they're in the different, online, they're on the Reddit groups and all those, and they're a little bit aggressive in that, they're trying to tell non-sexual ABs, oh, you're not an HB, you can't be an AB if you're non-sexual, you have to be an age regressor. And, you get brand new people who are confused and really don't know. They're just, they're exploring this and they're trying to discover themselves. It can really do a lot of harm to people because now they're confused and they don't know what they are, and they're trying to tell people what they are when they're not experienced enough to even know what they are, let alone what anybody else is. And I think the big problem with the age regressors is we don't understand this phenomenon enough yet. Like, people in the ABDL community are seeing it, hearing about it, but everybody is kind of like, I don't really know what this is, but it doesn't feel good. I'm concerned about it. I'm concerned about these teens getting involved in things and then ending up being blowback on the community. And I don't blame them for worrying about that, because especially when you're talking about teenagers who are getting themselves in situations, they're like, oh, I want a daddy, but I don't want it to be sexual. And then they're meeting people from online, and it's like, what do you think is going to happen?
And this is why in a previous episode, this is like years ago, I was bringing up about why jingles and slogans that we have in the community need explanations to be added to them, because a lot of the people misinterpret what it means, and then they come to this backwards idea of what it is. So, like, one of the things that I came across was someone who was in their 20s. They were like 22, and they were like, if you're an age player, you're a threat to the community. I was like, how? That doesn't make any sense. And the person didn't want to understand, and they were just like, you're a threat. And I'm like, I don't know where you're getting that from, because you all are the reason why age regressors are looked down upon. That's not true. This is I was like, who told you that old wives' tale? And I did not mean that as the way that, I've said that term for years and never realized, damn, that's sexist. I just said it and just like, listen, my parents are one of my parents is from the South. So, my grandmother, when she was still alive, would say that term. And I'm just like, I just now thought about it. It's like, damn, that's sexist. Anyway, I apologize. But no, I was like, who told you? I'm still using the term. I ain't got anything else. Who told you that old wives' tale? Like, what? No, that's not how that works, and that's not what it is. It is. It is definitely not that. A matter of fact, age regressors and age players are on the same spectrum. They're the same thing. It's just that where age regressors actually do mentally regress to an age where they actually do believe that of themselves, because it's almost like a euphoric. I wouldn't even say euphoric. It's the term whenever you like the pleasure thought gland kicks in, and it's like you start experiencing like yeah, I guess it is euphoria. Yeah, you experience euphoria while being in little space. I am not meaning that in a sexual way whatsoever. I am not referring to that. I mean as in you yourself are in a happier place when you're mentally regressed. However, in the case of age players, they don't mentally regress. They act, yeah, they act immature, but or like wear diapers and stuff like that, but they don't actually like regress like age regressors do.
Yeah, it's the difference between role play and regression.
Yes. And a lot of people don't realize about how close on the spectrum both age play and age regression is. The thing is that a lot of people now refers to age regression as agery. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think that is the stupidest term I've ever heard. Like,
That's the first time I've heard that one.
yeah, yeah, it's like agery is like Agere. And when I first read that, I was like, who did this? Who is responsible for this? I want to speak to the manager because I do not like the acronym for that. It's like it's silly. Those same people also came to pet regression, which I don't understand how that came about. But a lot of people don't realize that ironically, one of the other terms that we use in the community actually came from minors, and we hijacked a term from them, and a lot of people don't realize that happened. So the term CGL, that actually originated with minors, because what happened was that before age they were using CGL to create this supposed like the supposed little space that they could go into that didn't have a relationship between them and a caregiver, as the person was just a caregiver. There was no sexuality, nothing like that to it. It was just supposed to be like bare bones age regression and someone who takes care of them to make sure that they're okay. Somehow that transferred into the community, and the community started using that, and like no one realizes that. Like, a lot of these arguments and a lot of this stuff really ironically starts on Tumblr. Go figure.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, a lot of the age, like the term age started on Tumblr. So did Petri. Petri started on Tumblr as well. Both of these are incorrect terms in my opinion, and like I personally just think pet play is perfectly fine. I don't know why we had to go to the example of using of pet because to be completely honest, pet just sounds really really ridiculous, because you've never seen a puppy wear a onesie. So why do you think that pet is a thing? That's just a combination of the two, and the person not understanding that they're into both age play and pet play. The creation of age and pet are really really like stupid in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. So I don't have the doctor's degree like you do, Dr. Rhoda. But so would you say do you feel that, so now hearing that, do you feel that they should that this is something that should probably be reassessed?
I think it does need to. I think we do need to study it more and reassess it and kind of try to figure out what this really is and what is going on. Um, I mean, I don't necessarily have an answer on how we do that, but I think we need to stop trying to just push it away and try not to figure out what's going on with these kids, teenagers. To me, they're kids.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I was a teenager. So.
Don't worry. It's the same with me. It's been what am I, 35 now? So is that 25 years? So
I mean, they could be my grandchildren. So.
Yeah, fair. So my next question is would you I want to ask that, like, you know about them, like, media has changed the way that the ABDL community has been perceived over the years. Well, I mean, back in the day, we used to have Jerry Springer and I forget what other show there was with ABDLs on it. There was another talk show.
Maury or something?
It wasn't Maury. It was like
Well, there might have been someone, Dr. Phil, weren't there?
Yeah, Dr. Phil had one, but he didn't understand, well, him not being a real doctor. It's like,
he doesn't understand much, so
Yeah. No. This is like, I had found like an old show, but like there was a like Bill, like the show Bill used to be on television years ago. That guy, I think, is like a far right pundit now, and which is interesting since he used to have a show that was more like educated than that. Geraldo, I think, had that on his show at least once. I gotta at some point I'm going to go back and we'll do like a review of like some of those old like TV shows. We should get you on that for that. Like I would love to have you on the show for that. That would be great.
That would be just cringe-worthy.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you and everybody else right now. If I have to do that, which I already see. I already know that I'm going to hear people be like, yeah, do it. So what I'm going to say is, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to make a drinking game out of it, and it'll be an entire live of me drinking, well, like for every horrible cringe moment. Oh boy. But like the reason why I brought it up is like during the older years, like the 90s and the late 80s, whenever ABDL was brought onto the show, it was always looked at as really weird or put into a really awkward spotlight, like on Jerry Springer. But it wasn't until the mid 2000s and the 2010s that we get shows like My ABDL Life, which that was interesting. My Strange Addictions and stuff like that. The thing that I think has an effect on the community, and I kind of like going back to our last topic, which was the minors in the community. I kind of feel like the problems that we have with minors trying to force their way into the community now is based on what I used to call glamour age play. And that is like those that went on television to try to destigmatize the community. Even though they did like a really good thing to do it, some of those people went out and started like YouTube channels that were really big at the time. Like, and I bring up like for instance, Binky Princess. Binky Princess was one. Baby Mina, who is an ex co-host of mine. Which a lot of people don't know about unless they've been watching me since I first started. Like they glamorized the community to the point that people looked at it and were like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to be like that. And I never realized that effect how that could have affected the community back then. I had a suspicion, but I never really put into forethought of saying, oh shit, that could really affect the community. And so my question to you is, Dr. Rhoda, do you believe that like the glamorization of ABDL at those points could have like influenced like a lot of those that are in the community today in a way that it didn't do necessarily for like my generation?
Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing people talk about these various things they were seeing either, you know, on TV or online, of this glamorization of ABDL, and feeling like then somehow their life wasn't good enough. Like they had then had this unrealistic expectation of it was supposed to be like what they were seeing in these very glamorized views. And, you know, and I'm happy to frequently tell them, like, you're not seeing behind the scenes. You're not seeing this person on their bad days when they're, you know, having a moment where they're feeling afraid, when they're not feeling so great about themselves, when, you know, whatever. You're seeing this very hyped up, one-dimensional view. Mm-hmm. You know, and so I think for a while it really did hurt a lot of people, because it gave this unrealistic expectation that these people were having this great time all the time, and you know, their life was so great and they weren't having any problems. And so I'm glad I don't hear as much about those anymore.
No, not so much now. And I think it's because like a lot of those people that were doing that have dropped their channels since then. So like I know Binky hasn't done a video in like what 3-4 years. I think she did like one video like 2 years ago, and then that was it. And then she never went back to doing it again.
Yeah. But I do still see a lot of the younger ABDLs. They'll create these groups, and then they're like, well, we only want people 35 and younger. And it's like, wait a minute, what about the ABDLs who are 40, 45, 50? Like, where do they go? Because
because a lot of them feel that those that the people past a certain age are just going to prey on them, and I think that's really the reason why they feel that way is because I'll because of the fact that I have been in the political stream of my local community, and I at some point I have to explain why I say it like that. But for right now, the reason why is because like when I first joined the community, I've talked about this so many times. I had an experience where it was people that were in their 50s and late 40s and early 60s that were trying to take advantage of me in the community. And a lot of people have heard this story, and I'm not saying that it's my story alone, because there are other people that have also had that happen, but a lot of these people view it as the reason why the best way for me to put it, the reason why they view it, they see anyone older than 35 like that is because they believe that that's when the midlife crisis kicks in. It's a real stupid, arbitrary number to go off of.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I get why they feel that way, but at the same time, you're also like, kick out the people who are actually being pervy, and let the people who are just little but want to have a play group with like-minded people, you know, let it be on a case-by-case basis instead of this, you know, nobody over 35 can get in.
That's that's the way that I approached it too. But a lot of community groups now wanted to do the whole TNG thing. When I was beginning out in the community, I thought that was a really great idea because I thought that it would be less vicious on the predatory side of like the people that are being pervy and trying to force their way on you. But I come to realize that is not true. What you're doing is that you're essentially restricting the age limit of those that are doing it to you. You're not really stopping them from actually doing
Right.
it. Yeah, it's a really stupid approach. This is why, like in like the local group that I run, I don't age restrict because I feel that there are a lot of people who come to enjoy themselves. I know a guy who was like in his 60s, I think. He's like in his mid to late 60s who comes to the group. And this dude sits on the floor and plays with action figures with all the other littles and no one sees it any differently. And that's something that I enjoy seeing. And the community is like always striving for more. They want to go to more events and meet more people and play and have fun. Like there were two littles like at my last event, and these two I happen to know personally, but they were running around like playing tag, and it was actually adorable to watch. And they were having such a blast before their mommy actually told them that they had to stop. But because they were getting, I guess, too wild. I really didn't care as long as they didn't go into a wall or out the window. But yeah, like that's just the way it is, and that's why I rent the space that I do. But my point is that by age restricting, you're not really solving the problem, as you're just condensing the age of the problem.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, well, I would feel more comfortable around people that are my age. Why? Because I'm going to tell you right now, every day that you go out there, you're going to meet someone who is just an asshole. And it doesn't matter what age they are. They could be your age, younger, older, it doesn't matter. It's kind of one of the reasons why we are a diverse community. Like, let people meet who they want to meet. Like, that's the better way to go about it than just restricting everybody. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, like, that's what the TNG groups and why the BDSM community created the TNG groups. TNG groups were created in order to help people who were new to the excuse me. These tacos, I keep telling you, the tacos I had are coming back, and they are coming back at me with a vengeance. They, like, and I know people are like, tacos? Yes, I had tacos for dinner, and it is like punching the hell out of my stomach. Oh boy. I'm not answering that. A matter of fact, I'll do this. There we go. I've somehow neglected to answer I stopped my phone by putting the cover on it. I don't know what happened. I'm just going to accept it. No, what I was trying to say before is that the BDSM community went and created the TNG group. The TNG group's entire purpose was to limit those that were trying to constantly like flirt and get with someone younger. Which I understand that because a lot of the kink groups, some of the kink groups, I should say, that existed out there in different states and cities, like in my city, had a bunch of older people who weren't really kinky, and they were just saying they were kinky. In actuality, they're just swingers who were just interested in sex and cheating on their significant other. So, like, it is... And you'd be surprised on how many people still say that they're swingers, and they're doing exactly that. They're not actually...
Yeah, they're not really swingers, but they say they are.
Yeah. And one of that brings me to what I was just explaining. It's like that's the reason why, like, we want, like, why the TNG groups exist, is because they were trying to circumvent that problem. They weren't. They were not circumventing the problem. It was just getting worse on its own. And they
Mm-hmm.
just didn't realize it. Because what they were doing is just essentially limiting the age of the people who were going to do it anyway. So just because you have more people your age does not mean that it stops it. But they believe that it did. In my opinion, it's nothing more than a pseudo pill. Like it's a sugar pill, and we're telling you that it's curing the sexist male. It's not. It's just a sugar cube. That's all it is. But it's a placebo. That's the word I was looking. Not pseudo. Placebo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a placebo, and but it's not actually solving the problem.
No.
But I will say this much: when it comes to that, that's why some of those groups started adopting that. But then that comes around with other issues too, because what happens when you have a TNG group with a leader who refuses to step down? A lot of people are like, well, we could just vote. No, you can't. In some cases, those people will change the rules to make it where they can't be thrown out, and they will get people to agree to them doing that. Hint, hint, how do I know about this? Because that's something that happened in my community currently. Like, there's a certain someone who should be out of leadership because they're older than me.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Sounds like certain politicians who don't want to get voted out of office, but were. Don't name any names, but
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They are people that end up trying to hold on to power. That actually brings me to something that, like, I think this will be the last part of the podcast, but I need to do an episode of this podcast on the I call it every time that I want to say, like, Kublai Khan or Genghis Khan, I think Kilo Khan, and everyone is going to be like, who the hell is Kilo Khan? If you don't know who Kilo Khan is, look it up. I'm old, okay? I grew up with a bootleg Ultraman that became way more famous later on down the line. If you sat down and watched SSSS 4S's / Gridman, then you will know who I'm talking about. If you have never watched that the show with the 4 S's, that means that you wouldn't know who the character is. Another thing too, if you want to know what those 4 S's stand for, go and look for the American show of what the American version of Gridman was. That'll answer your question. But now, watch me say Kilo Khan by accident. Genghis Khan. Yes, I did it. Okay. So, there's something called the Genghis Khan conflict, where where a lot of people in the community join the community because they enjoy it, but then they turn into something that is insane, which is referring to, like, them becoming conquerors in the community. They view it as taking over in order to show some type of supremacy of some sort or kind. A lot of those people view their control of the community as it being better under them, but in actuality, they're not doing anything to actually help the community. In my particular case, I run a group, right? But at one point in time, I was technically running the community, and I hated it because I felt that I was no different than the people I am currently criticizing for the whole conqueror mentality. I don't want to be a conqueror. So, a lot of these people join the community in order to feel like they are bigger than someone, or to have power and supremacy over someone. And
Right.
by doing that, they end up creating this weird tribal dichotomy. Like, I'll give an example. There is a woman in Boston that ended up creating her own group after she was thrown out for being a really shitty person. When she created her own group, there was a bunch of guys and women that followed her. A lot of women who admired her for her show of strength, and guys who really wanted to hop in those pants. But what happens is that she ended up creating this society type thing where if you're classified as ABDL, that means that you can be like the good point of society. But at any point in time, she can classify you as DDLG, and that makes you the lowest form of scum on the face of the planet. I heard this, and I was like, this should be a science experiment.
Wow.
Yeah. If this doesn't sound like the jail experiment, where do you remember that old experiment where they put the college students in that jail? This sounds almost on par with that. And I was just like, wow, like this is a real thing. And you had people to stand up against her. But that's also like, that's the whole thing. Some of those people got power, and then they did the exact same thing that she was doing. So, like, nothing changed.
Right.
Yeah, it's just something that goes on in the community from time to time. At some point, I got to do an episode on that where I really go into the intricacies of the difference in control and conquering, and then like leadership and just trying to be a king or queen. I gotta go into the details of that at some point. But I would like to say thank you, Dr. Rhoda, for being on the show. You are awesome, and I look forward to having you back on the show at some point. Like, even if it is for us to do this cringe factor of reviewing old ABDL like spots on TV. Oh boy, yeah. I'll tell you what. I'll buy you a bottle of wine. And I'll get myself the same bottle of wine, and we just sit there and just go, man, this is bad.
A bottle with a long straw.
Oh God, yeah. That's gonna be ooh. I don't know how I'm going to turn that into a drinking game, but if I do, I'm going to get horribly plastered. I know it is bad. I think that I'm going, like, when I do that episode, I have to get like a couple of people that I know on the episode. It would be great to have them there. Like, I want to do an episode with you and Diaper Perv at some point. And it just be like us reviewing those old shows. Oh boy. So, yeah, thank you again for being on the show, and thank you everyone for watching. And I just wanted to say this is not the end, for we have a couple of other interviews coming up. The next two interviews, I will tell you, one will not be on the Ageplay podcast. One will actually be on the Fet Vlog series because of who I'm interviewing. So, the person I'm interviewing for the Fet Vlogs is ChatGPT. We're going to ask AI what ABDL is and what is kink, and see what the answers we get out of it. I actually did do this once, and I thought it would be a really good idea to really like do that live, because I think it would be fascinating to read some of the stuff, because ChatGPT said a couple of things that it had to like AI kind of was like, yes, ABDL has existed in even down to ancient times, when it actually was referring to breastfeeding fetish instead of like ABDL, but counting it as age play somehow. I was like, that's not exactly okay. But anyway, I was hoping to have Chat GPT be a guest on the show. Also, that's gonna be hilarious. I hope you watch that episode, Doctor, because yeah. You think that episode? Do you think us watching those episodes are gonna be cringy? Not like Chat GPT. The other,
Episode, yes.
huh?
That's going to be quite the episode.
Oh yeah. And the following episode after that will be an interview with Whiskey, who has been on my show once before. Whiskey is going to be talking about a brand new organization that has started up here in my city, in the city of Pittsburgh. And it's a new group called Pacu. So it's going to be a really interesting episode to really chat about this, and I'm super excited to talk about that. Yeah, it is a brand new like type of meeting and a new way for them to like, it's a new approach on something, and it's a new approach on how to do munches and play parties, and I love that. And I'm not gonna lie, the people that were behind Violet Fringe Studios, that was VFS, which was a group here in Pittsburgh. They always did stuff that was really fascinating, like different. Like most kink groups usually go out and do random things such as play parties, sloshes, just random stuff like that. They did a no drinking. They actually had a bar, but it didn't serve alcohol. Instead, it actually served like non-alcoholic drinks, but they were like really specialized drinks, and they were really good. They also had like different demo rooms. I was running one of them for alongside of the pet play group. So yeah, that was actually really fascinating. They are a really awesome group. If it wasn't for them, my current group that I have for the community wouldn't have gotten started. So thank you to them for helping me. So the least I could do is to have them on the show and have them to talk about Pacu, because I feel that this is a new wave and a new era and a different way to approach doing stuff such as fetish events in a different light, and I really want to have them on the show to really talk about that. So that's coming soon. That's coming in probably by the end of the month to September. So yeah, you guys can expect that. But in the meantime, I will be doing episodes again on Wednesdays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, or Tuesday or Wednesday, and we will see how that goes, because life has been punching me in the face lately, and I've been trying to get myself in order. So I love you all. Thank you for being on the show, Dr. Rhoda. You are awesome. I look forward to us having another episode with you on there. Expect me to send you that wine bottle that I promised, because we're gonna need it. We're definitely gonna need it.
Oh dear.
But yes, have a wonderful time, everybody. We'll catch you later. Bye.